Therefore, he would add something or delete something according to his desires and whims. And based on this, the religion changes. Or indirectly, he's telling us this religion is incomplete. Allah had not completed it. That's why it needs some addition and some modifications. Again, this is one of the insults to Almighty Allah. The real danger of committing a bid'ah or doing a bid'ah, doing an innovation in the religion, is that the people who do it think that they are doing something beautiful. Let me give you an example. Some people, when they say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, ending their salat, they would add something after that. For example, they would say haraman or jam'an. They would say taqabbal Allah. They would shake the hands of the people on the right or on the left. And in some cases, they stand and make a circle, and they would start shaking the hands of each other. All these are beautiful things. However, when they are associated with the religion, they become part of the religion on the long run. And this means that every time a human being does this ritual, he or she would add this addition to it, which is very, very critical. To the degree that scholars say, if a person commits a major sin, it's less evil than making a bid'ah. The reason is that the major sin, anybody does it, he or she knows that this is something bad in the bottom of his heart or her heart. So therefore, they become more receptive to the comments of people or to the advice of people who would tell them that this is something wrong. They know that it is wrong. But those people who perform and make and commit bid'ahs, they think that these things would bring them closer to Almighty Allah. For example, a person may send an email to you, or he would tell you that after every salat, you need to make 55 times of saying Subhanallah, which is a very good word. But the specific number that is mentioned here is something that had not been reported by the Prophet ﷺ, which means that this is an innovation. Dear viewers, let's take a short break and come back. Stay with us, don't go away. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear viewers, welcome back to our program. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once again. Let me review with you that we were talking about 6 traps of the Satan. I finished 2 of them, which were the trap of shirk, associating someone with Almighty Allah, followed by the trap of innovating something in the religion, which is known by this Islamic term, bid'ah. Again, the same tactic that the Satan does. If he succeeds with this human being and makes him fall into the trap of making a bid'ah, after little time, he will try to take him back to the most dangerous trap, which is the trap of associating someone else with Almighty Allah. And because once he's done with him on this level, he finished him off. But if he fails in this second trap, he will go to a lowest level, which is the trap of major sins, killing a human soul, drinking wine, being involved in usury, and other things as well that can come into this category. These are major sins which usually are related to a punishment from Almighty Allah, which is type of fire, type of burning for them. It's very important. They are known to people, all the people. However, still the Satan whispers to a human being to let him fall into this trap. Then again, the Satan uses the same tactic. If he succeeds in making a person doing and committing major sins, he would, after some time, he would try to take him to a higher level than making major sins, to the level of making bid'ah, which is innovating and changing and adding and deleting something from the religion. And again, if he succeeds, he would go to the highest level of the traps, which is the trap of association. If he fails in this third trap, major sins, he would go with the human being to try to encourage him to do minor sins. A slip of a tongue, looking at something haram, doing this or that. There are hundreds of examples of these minor sins. But the danger of minor sins is that, and a lot of people don't pay attention to this, it's like a pond. One drop of water, another drop of water, another drop of water, after some time, they form a pond or a lake. The same thing. Minor sins accumulate upon each other, above each other, and after some time, they become so accumulative on a human being that this would really lead him to move easily from this trap of minor sins to the higher trap, which is major sins. The accumulation of these minor sins would cause a major sin to happen. A person would think that drinking a piece of beer, a small amount of beer, is not wine because it's 1%, but this percent would increase day after day, day after day, until it becomes drinking wine. Even this 1% in itself is haram in itself. However, a person takes an easy way of looking at things, and this drags him to do major sins. Brothers and sisters, again, the same tactic is done by the Satan. If he succeeds with the person on this level, the fourth trap, he would take him again to a higher trap, the major sins, and then to a higher trap, the trap of innovation in the religion. And then he would end up with him in the final trap, the most critical and dangerous trap, is the trap of shirk, associating someone with Almighty Allah. If the Satan fails to convince a human being to do this minor sins, now we are going to a level of the best human beings, the people who worship Almighty Allah and who could fight the Satan in all these traps. However, the Satan has his own intelligence in whispering to the minds of those people and would instead convince a people, this is the fifth trap. Instead of doing the more rewardable deeds, he would convince a human being, a Muslim in particular, to do the least rewarding acts and deeds. Let me give you an example. One example is that going to Mecca to make Umrah or to make Hajj. In addition to the Umrah, we know that the bounty and the blessings that we can get from being in Mecca and Masjid al-Haram, which tells us that every prayer in al-Masjid al-Haram would lead us to take 100,000 rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than if we make it elsewhere. So it's a huge amount of rewards that we can take from Almighty Allah in that place. You find a person going there after he finishes or she finishes the Umrah, and then he starts doing the fara'id. He would do the first farida, he would do some nawafil, 2 rak'ahs, and then you will find after that the Satan comes and whispers to him, why shouldn't you go and try to buy some gifts for your spouse, for your children, for your friends? This is a very good deed, to buy gifts for your spouse and friends. It's really good deed. But there is nothing in Islam that tells us that you should buy it from that place, especially at the time where you can make extra nawafil, extra salawats, and extra recitation of the Quran in the masjid, where you will be rewarded more and more. The two acts are great: praying the salat in the Masjid al-Haram or buying gifts for your friends and your spouse and your kids. But this one has much more rewards than this one. So the Satan comes to the good people, or perhaps the best quality of human beings, and try to whisper to them, to convince them to do this less rewarding act than doing this. So this is one of the traps of the Satan. This is number 5. If a person continues doing this and becomes lazy doing these great acts, he would continue being lenient and loose in the religion. Then the Satan would come and try to take him again to the higher level. And again, the same tactic that we explained earlier. If the Satan fails with a human being in this trap, he would definitely go to the last trap, which is the priorities.